Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This week we're going to talk volunteering in your community with Rik Flynn of Ulster Corps. And we're going to meet Gregg Swanzey, the new Director of Economic Development and Strategic Partnerships for the City of Kingston. And that's you, Greg. That is a mouthful of a title. What does that mean?
Well, I think it's taking economic development in the traditional sense of the word and how people have done it over the years and really support businesses and encourage economic growth in the community. But it's also, it's a new day. We've got to create partnerships, work with the public and private sectors, get them together, federal, state, and local. And so we're out there trying to do that.
So we're going to take this in two parts now. Business development, you're talking about businesses that are already here and established, as well as trying to encourage new business coming in?
Yes. I mean, one thing we're doing is looking at what businesses are here and how can we encourage more businesses like them to come here, like performing arts, like the art community, restaurants. What can we do about Midtown and UPAC and help build a real cultural district there, a real cluster there. Down on the waterfront, we've got a lot of recreational activities there, and we're doing things to bring rail trails into the city too, so that can help tourism. What about bed and breakfast? I mean, it's a great place. Come, stay here. Maybe you could leave your car at home and then spend a week.
It's funny because you mentioned that, and I'm thinking, I don't see any bed and breakfasts really in Kingston much, and I think, for instance, the Rondout would be on the waterfront would be a great place for a bed and breakfast, or up in the historic district even.
Well, there are a lot of hidden gems here that you don't hear about, right? And there are several right down in the Rondout.
Good.
And spread throughout town. There are a couple uptown too. So,
what are the challenges that established businesses face, like when they come to your office and they say, okay, this is what our challenge is? Can you give us an example of some of the stuff they're dealing with?
Well, it's a range of things. It's been tight, economically it's been very tight. And so, it can be taxes, of course that's a big one often, but it also can be just looking for the right place to locate, the right characteristics of a building, transportation systems. I mean, it can be a variety of things. And so we try to help them either directly, or we send them on to others who can help them. Small business administration. Ulster County has great resources too, so we really try to partner up as best we can.
Well, that word partner is also in your title. So when you talk about strategic partnerships, who are some of the people you're looking to partner up with, or have you already partnered up with?
Well, we've had some meetings, for example. There are numerous examples. It's really great. People are really outreaching right now, and they're looking for ways to move the city forward, and we're finding ways to do that. For example, I had a meeting the other day with the Art Society of Kingston, and we're talking about with other people in the cultural community, and really looking at how can we market and promote arts in this city, which are there's so much going on here that people don't hear about.
Yeah, there's a vibrant art community in Kingston.
Absolutely is. Then there are there's small businesses that are populating the in the Midtown area. There are loft space for artists, but also for small businesses, artisans. Black Creek is up there, and they do some great woodworking and turnings that they're selling actually internationally. R&F Paints is up there, and caustic paints, and they're who you go to if you want caustic paints.
Yeah, not just locally. We actually featured them on a previous show, and they bring people to Kingston for workshops and such, but they're also a nationally known brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And working with them that's a good example of how the synergy that we're creating, because we're also outreaching to Bard College and to SUNY Ulster, and we're looking for ways to bring the colleges that are in the region into Midtown Kingston. Well, R&F Paints they're already doing that. They have workshops there. Can we increase the level of that? Can we actually? It would be great to have a satellite, a facility where Bard is actually, or SUNY Ulster, are right in the city, and the students are here. They're living here, and they're going to classes here. Can we get to that point?
Now, in the introduction of the show, I referred to you as this is a new post for you. How did it come? I mean, I know you're still a board member of the Kingston Land Trust, and you're on the Rail Trail Committee. In fact, the last time I saw you, you were not dressed this way. You had earmuffs on, and you were working a wood chipper, clearing a trail over on Washington Avenue. How did you come to be in this position?
Yeah. Well, I should say first that I really do like rolling up my sleeves and getting out there and doing the work, and that's really what I really enjoy. But but I came to it from Mohawk Preserve. I was doing grant writing there, corporate relations, and connecting with a lot of the federal, state, and local grants makers that we need to connect with here. And I work with a lot of nonprofits too. I was executive director for Clearwater for a couple of years. Used to captain the sloop, and so I spent a lot of time in the Hudson River.
And when the new mayor came in, was it your interaction with him along with the land trust that he said, "Oh, I want this guy"? Is that what happened?
Well,
That's a romantic story. I like that one.
Well, I like to think we see an eye to eye on a lot of the issues and the strategies. You know, how to move forward. I can't agree with him more. It's great to have him in office.
Great. We'll talk about those.
Great guy to work for.
He is, and we'll talk more about that in a moment.
Yeah.
You're watching Kingston Now. More with Gregg Swanzey when we return. Welcome back to Kingston Now. This week we're talking about economic development and more with Gregg Swanzey, the Director of Economic Development and Strategic Partnerships for the City of Kingston. Now, before we went to break, Gregg, you were talking about your background in grant writing at the Mohawk Preserve. How does someone go and find a grant? I mean, how do you find out what funds are available and match them up with the right organization or the right activity here in Kingston?
Mm-hmm. Well, it takes really listening a lot and seeing what people need, first. So you really frame out the kinds of needs and the challenges you have in the community. And then you start looking. And online, a lot of great resources. Foundation Center has a place where you can go search for grants. And we want to set that up in the office at City Hall so we can get them ourselves or we can help other people look for grants. I think you can also go to the library here in town if people want to do that themselves. But there are other great resources too. Email bulletin boards for federal grants. Grants.gov is a natural place where you can search. In the state governments, the consolidated funding application process now, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. Looking for different agencies, everything from New York State Council on the Arts to the Office of Parks, Recreation, Historic Preservation, and a whole slew of alphabet soup. But there's plenty of resources out there. We just have to locate them and match up our needs with those sources.
Which is interesting because if people aren't aware of how grants work, some money, for instance, the federal government may put aside some money for a particular highway project, but you actually have to go and find that money and then make your case to get it. They're not just going to say, "Oh, there's Kingston. They could use this money to fix that sidewalk." Yeah. So, I mean, it's really an interesting process to go and find the money and match it up with something. Are you working on anything big grant-wise, say for transportation in Kingston at the moment?
Well, my first month on the job really was to look for this to develop a Tiger 4 grant. Tiger stands for another acronym. It's Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery. So it's some of the recovery money, but it's really focused on multimodal transportation systems, which is bikeable, walkable. It's about livable cities, sustainable approaches. It's all the good stuff, very fundable stuff these days, and things we need to do in Kingston to connect.
So what's the practical application then? You make a presentation that if we get this money, we'll build a bike path, for instance? Is that how it works?
Yes, basically it is that. I mean, we have to identify the things we are doing because we can use those things as match. For example, the I-587 study that was done, which was the intersection where Broadway hits that octopus up there at Albany Ave.
Sure, right, Albany Avenue and Colonel Chandler Drive, yeah.
So that's already in progress, so what I can do is take that and use it as a match to go after this funding. We also have the Greenkill Bridge is going to be replaced. So, but those things I can take and say, we're doing these things, now we want to connect them together with a complete street, which is, boulevard, more like a boulevard for Broadway, that would have trees and would be bikeable, walkable, but still move traffic through. Maybe we could even do with a few less traffic lights. I don't know.
Yeah, there's an idea. We like that. I know they took one out in uptown Kingston recently and put a stop sign there.
Absolutely. I bet that worked great too. Slow the traffic down, smooth it out, let it flow through, readily. So it won't slow anything down, but it can make it a lot more livable city and safer for people to cross the street or bike from. Well, I live in a Rondout, so I bike up to the farmers market uptown.
Nice.
Love to do that, but I'm risking my life when I go on Broadway these days, and I'd like to change that.
Thanks, Gregg.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Kingston Now. Next, we're going to introduce you to Ulster Corps, an organization dedicated to building community in the area. Stay tuned. You're watching Kingston Now, and we're joined by Rik Flynn, the president of the board of directors of Ulstercore. Hi, Rik.
Hi.
So Ulstercore has, as its mission statement, part of its mission statement is community service and volunteerism. Two really, powerful phrases.
Yes.
First, though, community service can sound like someone did something wrong and is being ordered to do something, but it's not. It's actually part of volunteering.
It's part of volunteering. I wouldn't say that it is not. There is a segment that has been available for people that have community service. We've been approached on a few occasions by local town justices who didn't want to just render fines to some people, but suggested in lieu of the fine, they could do some kind of community service. And so we've facilitated them finding opportunities to do that.
But community service, the phrase, which we want to sort of take back a little bit for
Yes.
this conversation, is the opportunity to give back to your community because you feel that it's the right thing to do, not because you've been mandated to do it.
That's correct. It has a broader and deeper definition for us. It's precisely just what you said, that people feel affinity for the community they live in, particularly the larger Ulster County community, not just the neighborhood that they live in, and how they can be a part of that community in the context of doing things, giving back to their neighbors, and even people that they don't know but they feel are a part of their community.
Now, Ulstercore is a fairly new organization here in the area. I think you got started in 2008, is that correct?
It was about 3 years ago.
And what was the impetus for starting it? Because it has the name has a feel like it's been around for 100 years, like the Red Cross or something.
Yes.
You know?
And that was somewhat deliberate amongst the group of us that talked about, well, who are we and what we should call ourselves. Ulstercore, we want to convey the mindset it's like the Peace Corps, only it's Ulster County. And the way we got started was informal conversations for a while among friends and associates. The people in conversations about community service said, oh, I tried that, that's not for me. I'm not the volunteering type, or I've thought about doing it, but I didn't know where to go to find out whether it was for me. Or I tried something out because I said to some organization I wanted to work with animals. And when I got to the place to work with the animals, they had me cleaning the stables instead. So in collective sort of ways, we got the message from people that said, I guess I'm not the volunteering type. Or the other collective message was, I don't know where to go to begin to involve myself or my family in community service activities. And so the more we heard about this, the more we began to think that maybe there was a need for a medium between the wonderful organizations and activities that are available in our county and the potential people that are out there who are willing and able to do various things. So we first did sort of an inquiry with a number of the organizations and asked them whether they thought it was a good idea, and they said, yeah, go for it. Give it a try and see what happens. And of course, they were very happy to have the assistance in rendering additional help, our rendering it for them. And so this was very close in timing when President Obama announced that he wanted to reinvigorate a National Day of Service on Martin Luther King Day. So what we did is we went back to some of these organizations that we originally searched out this idea and said, we got an idea. On the next Martin Luther King Day, instead of just asking people to come in and help you fold laundry or donate food or whatever, how about if you donated part of your time to explain to people who might sign up what it is that you do exactly? If you're from Family of Woodstock or the ASPCA or Jewish Family Services, what is it that you do? Why are you an organization? And by the way, if you can stick around, we've got laundry to fold or wall to paint and so on. They said, sure, we'll do that. So we had a few dozen places spread out, all kinds of community service activities in Ulster County on that weekend, not just that particular day. And we put it up on our internet website, spread the word. We had over 200 people volunteer on that weekend alone. And the feedback from it was enormous. People said things like, I never did something like this before. I've heard about Family of Woodstock for the longest time and never really understood what they did. Or I knew that they had a facility in New Paltz, but I didn't know they did this and this and this and this and so many other different things. And I didn't know that I could do this kind of community service if I only had an hour to spare weekly.
This is Kingston Now. More with Rik Flynn when we come back. Welcome back to Kingston Now. We're joined once again by Rik Flynn, the president of the board of directors of Ulster Corps. So Rik, you started with just those first few organizations back in 2008. Now the collaborations tab on your website is packed with some people. Give me an illustration of some of the groups that you work with here in Ulster County.
Well, I mentioned several of them in the first segment. Family of Woodstock is an active partner with us. The Center for Creative Education, Kingston, Jewish Family Services, United Way of Kingston, of Ulster County, and the Chamber of Commerce we're active with. We're members of the Chamber. We've evolved a little bit. In addition to doing the matchmaking that I was describing before, sort of growing out of that was a realization that there was a place for an organization to be a medium to bring other entities together. That different organizations have resources that others do not. And by putting them together, the sum becomes greater than the parts. And so I'll give you a specific example. We've been working for the last 2.5 years now on a hunger project. There are absolutely wonderful resources in this county to get people fed who need food. By the same token, we know that the number of people in the county that are hungry are increasing. And we also know that the resources are such in this county alone that nobody should be hungry. So there was this conundrum, what's going on here? And it started by us getting a phone call one day from one particular farmer in this area who said, I heard about you guys doing volunteer work, and I've just harvested my crop, and there's stuff still out in the field. If you want to get some volunteers, they can help themselves to the food that's out there in the field. So we put our heads together and said, well, that's a wonderful offer from this farmer. But in addition to that, why don't we find out if we can't get some volunteers to deliver some of this produce to soup kitchens and food pantries around in the area? Well, humbly saying, we've collected thousands of pounds of produce in the last 2 years doing this. And it's gone to very needed organizations. But it hasn't yet filled the bill because there are still hungry people. That caused us to keep thinking about what this problem is. And the issue about hunger is myriad. Time when people are available, communications, how people get to certain places, how people know that there are needs that are around. So we formed the steering committee in the county to address the hunger project with the goal that one of these days, in the near future, we're going to be able to say to ourselves, nobody's hungry in Ulster County anymore, because we've evolved a system where all the organizations can work intelligently and efficiently with each other. And so we've evolved as Ulster Corps to kind of keep the loose ends together. And my wonderful colleague, Beth McClendon, who's one of our co-directors, has developed this mind map recently that enables people to look at it, and you can expand this diagram so that you see very simply hungry people, food sources, but there are links that continue to grow out from that. In addition to the hungry people and the food sources, where are the food sources? How do we communicate to this information that's out there? Where is transportation available? And so on and so forth. So, it seems like a lofty goal, but it's doable. We can get our arms around Ulster County and we can do this. So we're very confident that we'll be able to do it.
And it's doable because, you guys are sort of steering, but volunteers are the engine.
Yes.
They are what are driving the car. You guys might tell them where to go, but they're the ones putting in the muscle and the energy and the effort, which is extraordinary. Now, you work with a lot of nonprofits, but you also get support from the business community too, don't you?
We've had some wonderful donations of late, and one of the things that we are exploring at the very present time is the idea of kind of a new public and private partnership where we hear from the business community they really like what it is that they're hearing that we're doing, and they want to be a part of it. Frankly, they want the community to recognize that they're in the community as well, sure, and want to be recognized as such for doing good things as well as selling their products. So we're exploring the possibility that a few key businesses maybe diverse kinds of business can say, you know, we've heard about this Ulster Corps group, we like what they do, we want to help support them financially, and we may look to them to encourage our own employees to come into this process. We don't know where to start. You know, we're in the business of selling this particular product. We don't know about community service. So could you guys come in and talk to our employees and lend a hand in terms of getting them up to speed in terms of expecting what it is that's going to come out of that kind of a volunteer experience?
I'm just going to, I want you to leave people with one thought.
Sure.
Back when we started, you talked about people saying, well, I'm not the volunteering type. Tell those people that they are the volunteering type and tell them what the benefits of volunteering are.
There are 3 enormous benefits, and the first one is you are the volunteering type. You'll do much better for the community if you recognize that part of yourself, and most importantly, you most likely will find it's the most satisfying thing that you do in your life.
It's a great way to end the segment. Thanks, Rick.
You bet.
That's it for this week's show. Thanks to Gregg Swanzey, the Director of Economic Development and Strategic Partnerships for the City of Kingston, and to Rik Flynn of Ulster Corps. To find out more about Ulster Corps and how you can volunteer, go to ulstercorps.org. Remember, all our shows are now archived on our YouTube channel, and you can find the link on our Facebook page. You can also suggest the topics for future shows on Facebook. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. See you next time.